Alright guys, so I'm going to try and do the videos a little earlier in the day, i.e. around this time, mainly because, I finished work, I'm fresh, I can't sleep anyway, I'm normally just watching Twitch, so let's get productive. Let's talk about Jeffrey Epstein, because we have some breaking news in this case, and this is probably not going to be surprising, but we may have found evidence he might have been murdered. This is the part where everybody goes, no. Yeah, I know. Look, there's a difference between what we suspect and what we can prove, right? And this autopsy that they've done sort of is leaning towards the fact that he might have been murdered. I know, shocking horror, but let's jump into it. So as the public carries on with the great debate about what really happened or didn't happen to Jeffrey Epstein, early Saturday morning in the hours before he was found dead in his cell at MCC, an apparent suicide, the Washington Post has unleashed a bombshell. First, remember how witnesses claimed they heard horrifying shrieking coming from Epstein's cell in the hours before his death? Well, here's one explanation for that. An autopsy report found that Epstein had endured multiple breaks in his neck bones, deepening the mystery surrounding his death last week. So among the broken bones in Epstein's neck was the hyoid bone, which in men is near the Adam's apple. This break can occur in those who hang themselves, particularly if they're older, according to forensic experts and studies on the subject. But they are more common in the victims of homicide by strangulation. Even Jonathan Arpin, president of the National Association of Medical Examiners, admitted the hyoid break is more commonly associated with homicidal strangulation than suicide hanging. The hyoid bone plays a pivot role in another critical New York case, the death of Eric Garner. The hyoid bone played a central role in the heated dispute last year over another high-profile death in New York, that of Eric Garner. The New York police officer was accused of using an improper chokehold while trying to arrest Garner and causing of his death. The police officers accused claimed they have an autopsy from Salmon's office found there was no break of Garner's hyoid bone, and thus proves the officer could not have strangled Garner and his cause of death. So what they're basically saying here, and I'll continue reading because there's not much left. These details, according to WAPO, are the first emergence of Epstein's autopsy, something that undoubtedly be close watched by the legions of Epstein conspirators who have emerged since his death. While AOG William Barr has described Epstein's death as an apparent suicide, but DOJ's officials have refused to comment on the last findings from Epstein's autopsy. The Office of New York's Chief Medical Examiner Barbara Simpson completed an autopsy of Epstein's body Sunday, but Simpson listed the cause of death as pending. Asked about the neck injuries, Sampson in a statement that no significant single factor in an autopsy can alone prove a coincidental answer about what happened. In forensic investigation, all information must be synthesized and determine the cause of manner of death. Everything must be constant. No single finding can be evaluated in a vacuum. Okay, so what is with this neck bone? Okay, so what normally happens is if you are going to commit suicide, right? The normal way people would do it is they'll put a rope around their neck, they'll get up on a chair or something, and then they flick the chair out and they fall and it snaps their neck. That will tend to break the hyoid bone. The problem is that with Epstein's suicide, yeah, come on. But apparently with his parents' suicide, he didn't do that. With Epstein, what he did was apparently wrap a bedsheet around his neck and then leant forward until he suffocated. So there was no sudden jerking or whatever that would have broken that neck bone. And that's normally the way it happened with hangings. Apart from that, the only other way is someone having arms or hands around your throat choking you. So with the lack of him getting up on a stool and kicking it out and falling and breaking his neck that way, which we know he didn't do, I would say, yeah, there's a very good chance that he actually was suffocated or he was choked. Now, at the end of the day, obviously, we'd love to go to the video footage, but we can't do that because that obviously went, well, those cameras were playing up, which is convenient, I know. And yeah, and then obviously there was the whole FBI New York Police Department doing a raid on Epstein's island after he supposedly died. They heard squelching coming from his cell as apparently it was going down. There's a lot of speculation about this case. And you can't blame people for jumping to the conclusion that this is murder, that this was not suicide. To be honest, I tend to lean that way myself. With everything that I have seen with Epstein's death, I would say that this is very much a case that he was murdered. That would be my guess. Now, obviously, Epstein's last word to lawyer didn't suggest suicide, which is obviously also debunking the whole he committed suicide narrative. Jeffrey Epstein Jeffrey Epstein was reportedly not talking about suicide, as he told one of his lawyers Saturday night, "I'll see you Sunday." Epstein's lawyer not only found the convicted pedophile talkative, but also positive about his chances of further lenient treatment from the justice system, and believed that we have denial bail overturned, the New York Post reported on Wednesday. Sources close to the Post also said that Epstein claimed his first suicide attempt was actually an attack by his cellmate and an alleged dirty cop. The multimillionaire sex addict apparently believed he could even walk from the latest charge of sex trafficking, a notion that the Post source called delusional. He thought he was going to win the double jeopardy motion. This is lawyers were hoping he could file because Epstein had already been convicted of prostitution charges in 2008, despite being denied bail due to what the judge cited as uncontrollable sexual urges. Epstein apparently believed he would reverse the ruling on the appeal. So, look, at the end of the day, this is basically saying that he was in high spirits. There was no talk of him committing suicide. He said, "I will see you Sunday," which is literally the next day. Well, why would someone say, "I'll see you Sunday," then go and commit suicide? It doesn't really make sense. Also, he seemed very positive. Plus, we have the whole neck break. It's starting to look like he might have been killed. Imagine my shock. Who is Layman Denal? I might be mispronouncing. Everything we need to know about the warden who oversaw Epstein's fatal incarceration. He's probably going to win Powerball over the next few weeks. But anyway, Attorney General William Barr announced on Tuesday that the two guards were tasked with watching the jail pedophile Jeffrey Epstein have placed on administrative leave, and the warden of the MCC in New York City was reassigned to the Northeast Region office in Philadelphia. However, little is known about Layman Denal, including why he still works for the Federal Bureau of Prisons. The action comes after Epstein allegedly committed suicide on August 10th following the new sex trafficking charges. One of Denal's contemporaries believed Denal should not be still on the job, according to a report in the New York Times Union, based in Albany, New York, which I would tend to agree with. According to the Voice of America, prior to his job at MCC, Warden Denal was in charge of the Bureau of Prisons Office of Internal Affairs. A 2016 article about the prison's legal news website by the prisoners sickened by tainted food in a Pennsylvania prison reports that Denal once worked at the office where he was reassigned. Denal's name also shows up in discriminating lawsuits filed by BOP employee who were fired in 2009. The lawsuit final order is dated 2014. If one Googles Layman Denal, the results show that the warden shares the name with a senior football coach and former player who is the manager of the Sudanese club Al Hilal. So not a lot's known about him. But here it is, a complete list of inconsistencies in the prison policy surrounding Jeffrey Epstein's death. So, this is the list of everything that we know so far. Epstein said he was Epstein said he was considering cooperating in naming names in his international sex ring. He was found unconscious in his prison cells just 3 weeks earlier. 2 days prior to his death, documents released the first time implicated several top Democrats in his sex ring. He was often taken off suicide. He was taken off suicide watch after failed attempt just 2 weeks earlier. Supposed failed attempt. I think it was attempted murder. He was in isolation, unusual for a suicidal individual. The cameras malfunctioned. There's no video. Even Mexico had video of El Chapo's escape from prison. Then later we hear the cameras showed the guards did not do rounds, which is it. The prison guards had worked several extra shifts last week. One of the prison guards on his floors was not even a certified guard. The prison guards forgot to check on Epstein. The prison guards slept through their shift. The guards did not check on Epstein for several hours. There were reports of screaming in the morning Epstein died. The MCC has not seen a successful suicide in 40 years. Epstein said he was the victim of attempted murder 3 weeks ago, which is when they're talking about the attempted suicide. Epstein's former roommate is facing mass murder charges. Epstein had dirt on numerous globalist elites. Epstein was not given paper sheets. Epstein had sheets in his cell to hang himself. Epstein was not suicidal according to medical professionals. Epstein told lawyers on Friday, a day before his death, "I'll see you Sunday." Epstein's former roommate heard nothing. Epstein reportedly had to get on his knees to hang himself from his bed. Epstein's autopsy shows broken bones in the necks common with strangulation of death. Or strangulation deaths. So after all that, what do you guys reckon? Do you reckon he killed himself or not? Do we really need to ask this question? Seriously? Like, is anybody in doubt? Well, some people are. Globalist shills. But, you know, look, at the end of the day, look, I do think Epstein was bumped off. I think he was killed because he knew way too much. He could name names, and it looks like he was going to go through and name people. And people were scared that, yeah, that was going to come out, that he was going to play ball for a lesser sentence. So, yeah, I think it's, if you want motive, you have 1,500 pages of names. There's your motive. But I don't know, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. If you haven't seen my video yesterday, obviously this channel is now demonetized completely. Woohoo! It's like winning the lotto. There's a little bit of a funny video went up yesterday about it, so check that out. Apart from that, guys, obviously we'll see you in the next demonetized video for the day. We've got about 2 or 3, so enjoy, guys. Have a great night, and we'll see you soon.